Hello all, my name is Elizabeth Crawford and I am a 11th and 12th grade social studies teacher at Collins Career Technical Center, which is located in Lawrence County, Ohio. My presentation today is all about authentic learning in career tech. So I teach at Collins Career Technical Center, which is located in Lawrence County, which is the southernmost county in the state of Ohio. And we are a vocational career tech center for 7 homeschools that feed into us. And I specifically work with students who are enrolled in some kind of health profession. And so the ones we offer here are medical assisting, licensed practical nursing, patient care tech, dental assisting, chemical dependency counselor assistant, and also our EKG and STNA. So what is authentic learning? And I think we get asked a lot about this as instructors, is how can we make our lessons more authentic for our students to mimic real life experiences? So authentic learning is learning designed to connect what students are taught in school to real world issues, problems, and applications. So it's taking what you're teaching them in the classroom and translating it into something they're going to be able to use once they've graduated. So some key points we're going to touch on today. Presenting real world problems and solutions. So how can we tie that with what we're teaching them that's required? We mirror complexities of real life and real jobs. We prep for life outside of the safety of school. We encourage sincere investigation into issues. We investigate multiple sources and perspectives, and it provides opportunities for collaboration among students and instructors. So what my colleagues and I have done is help bridge the gap between health professions and social studies. It's kind of difficult when you think about it. A lot of times in career tech, social studies is the one that gets kind of pushed off to the wayside because no one can find a way for it to integrate with the others. So we worked really hard going through our competencies and our state standards to find a way to make us all fit together. So we linked our academic standards or career tech competencies with the social studies standards, and so I'm going to talk about that on another slide about how we sat down and completed that. We had a conscious effort to pre-plan, so we got together during planning periods in the summer, phone calls, Zoom, Google Meets, whatever needed to make sure we were planning and all on the same page. We have a like-minded approach to student learning, so we all want what is best for our students. We have an understanding that this is what is best for our students as far as choosing to come to the Career Center. We offer a student-centered health professions organization, and we also reflect on our planning and execution. And we don't just have the instructors reflect, we have the students reflect upon how they felt they did while working on these assignments, as well as how they felt the instructors did working together on these assignments. And so it's a full 360 reflection so we can see what we can do to improve. So when we linked our competencies with state standards, we sat down and really looked at both the career tech competencies and the social studies ODE standards to find out exactly where we were all going to fit in together. And so how we did that was I, as a social studies instructor, pulled all of the ODE standards that can be taught at the high school level, and we started going through them one by one with the Health Academy standards to determine what all fit together. So in the Health Academy, some things that matched up with social studies was cultural sensitivity. It's very important for our students to understand how to work with patients from different cultures, backgrounds, religions, languages than they are. What HIPAA is and why it's a law and why it's an important law for them to understand and know. Patient confidentiality in the doctor's office, at the hospital, over the phone. And then I also work with vet science students, and they have national FFA standards. So we also focus on those a lot when I have them in class because they directly relate to government. So some of the coursework that actually falls, some of the ODE social studies standards that can be taught simultaneously with Health Academy competencies were American government, contemporary world issues, and world geography. And those are just lists of courses in ODE that actually have competencies. I teach other courses such as psychology and sociology and economics and personal finance, but these set of standards that are already pre-printed in ODE are the ones that I was able to link up and show. So why is authentic learning important? And not only do we ask this as instructors, but our students are going to ask this as well, because authentic learning is not something that comes easy, nor is it natural for them. So is authentic learning automatic behavior? And most of you are going to say probably not. Most of our students are used to the way that they've been taught through elementary school and middle school, where the teacher shows you how to do it and you're going to mimic that behavior. We're not asking them to mimic our behavior, we're asking them to create a new behavior, which is, how does this relate to what I'm going to need to know once I graduate? Or how is it related to the profession I think I'm going to go in? Have you considered other instructors and their strengths? We try our best to involve everybody that we think might be an asset to whatever assignment or project that we're working on. That could include utilizing instructors in what we consider our academies. And so if there's somebody in the tech academy who can help us with some technical parts of what we're doing, then we're going to pull them in. If we have somebody in our trades academy who might be able to help us do something, we're going to pull them in. So we do our best to pull in the people that are going to have the strengths that we need to complete the assignment or project. How are lessons authentic to programs? And so one of the big things we do is when we start to plan a lesson, we really think about the overall theme and what we want the students to learn, and then we break it down from there into competency standards and the combination of how we're going to bring these two together. And then what inspires sincere thought processes? So how can we get the students to start thinking outside of the box of mimicking our behaviors and actually developing their own behaviors and own thought processes towards whatever project we're giving them? And so it really takes the students into that critical thinking area that we want them to be in, to really think and push and dig and research and learn as much as they can about what we're asking them to do. So one of the big things we get from students when we start introducing authentic learning is, I can't. And so we like to break that off, as you can see in the picture, and show them that yes, they can. They can utilize authentic learning. They do understand what it is. A lot of times it's things they do in their everyday life. But because it's never been presented to them in the classroom in such a way, it is very hard for them to break away from mimicking what the teacher's doing and to pulling that information out for themselves. And so by the end of their senior year, we hope that the I can't turns into I can, I will, and I do, to continue the learning process. So some benefits of authentic learning. So it boosts student confidence. A lot of students that come to us to the Career Center struggle in the area of confidence because they don't feel like that they were successful at their home schools in a traditional classroom. And so by providing them authentic learning experiences that they succeed in and do very well at, boosts their confidence in their learning. It varies our delivery style, so sometimes it may include lectures, sometimes it includes videos, sometimes it's group work, sometimes it's one-on-one time with an instructor. It just depends on what that student may need and what the project calls for. It prepares them for careers, so especially with our Health Academy students, everything that they're going to be working on is completely hands-on. And so our projects are all hands-on, clinical-based, to make sure that the students are learning the clinical side of things as well as the standards required for their academic courses. It takes an interdisciplinary approach, so it's multiple people working together to trying to get something done. And so it may just be one or two standards that we're covering, but we're still covering them in a way that's going to help the students understand it better. It requires a higher order of thinking, so this is where that critical thinking part of the brain is going to kick in, and students are going to have to really take a good look at what it is that's being asked of them, how they're going to accomplish it, and what things do they need to accomplish it. It provides for collaboration and creativity. This is two of the biggest things we want our students to learn before they leave us, is everything they do in life, especially in the health field, is going to require a lot of collaboration. You know, yes, you might be a nurse, but you're still going to have to work with a doctor and a respiratory therapist and a PCT and all these other people to provide the best patient care you can. And so you have to be able to collaborate with other people in order to work in these jobs. And then the creativity part. We want our students to pull that creativity out of their brain that they may not have used for a while, and really develop some really great projects and responses to the assignments that we're asking them to do. Again, it's all about thinking outside of that normal box. We don't want them to mimic exactly what we're doing. We really want them to take what we're giving them and bring it to another level. So how can instructors authentically teach? So we mimic professional problems and real-world issues. We do this all the time. We bring in speakers. We take them on field trips. We show videos, and we ask them to kind of break down those things that they saw and the things that they did. We also offer them professional development, just like they would see out in the real world. We've invited speakers in. We've given them sheets that they have to fill out. We've provided them with professional development hours. And so that they are in a constant continuum of learning when it comes to the area they're learning in. By mimicking these professional problems and real world issues, it has allowed them to leave here kind of expecting the unexpected. We have open-ended inquiry. We don't want them to stop learning. We don't want them to stop asking questions. And so that leads to that metacognition that we want our students to get to. We want them to have a continuum of learning. We want them to leave here, and we would love it if they decided to further their education. But at the end of the day, if they're taking what's happening in the real world and applying it to what they need to know and what they need to learn, then we're helping them continue that learning process. It also provides for social learning and discourse among our students, and it becomes student directed. After you've planned a couple of these authentic lessons where you've guided them through them, students start to really direct themselves in the ways that they want to go. And sometimes they take projects and assignments in ways that you may never have planned for them to do. And so that is a good sign. When the students are directing themselves into something that's new, that you weren't expecting, then you can see that the students' critical thinking and creative side of the brain is really working in their favor. So some project-based learning activities that we've done and hopefully plan to do in the future are listed here, and I'm going to touch on a few of them. One of the big ones is ancestry and family medical history. Schools can apply to get an ancestry license for their building, and so what our plans are is have students research their families and then go through and look on death certificates to see what they had died from, so that they get an idea of the things that run in their family. A lot of my students don't know a lot beyond their parents and grandparents, and so by doing this, it opens that family medical history up to them a lot more than they knew before. We have them complete an employment portfolio, so this allows them to have a resume, cover letter, writing sample, their professional development certificates that I talked about a couple slides ago all go in there, and it's something they can take with them when they leave our school and apply for jobs. We have the HPAC Club, which is Health Professions Affinity Community Club, and we have members on it, and they plan a service project to do every year. And so the current service project is hygiene items for students in our building. And so that is just a real world application of things that they're already learning in their health classes. Two of my favorite things to do with my students is the living will and maternity debate. So in a living will, we actually ask them to be a nurse and a patient with a terminal illness diagnosis, and they have to walk them through a living will and a DNR and asking those hard questions. It's a very emotional day, but it brings out the empathy and sympathy that we want these future healthcare workers to have. And then the maternity debates are another one of my favorites. When the nursing program gets to their maternity section, we do an entire debate about which is better, a doctor or a midwife, or are you pro-abortion, are you pro-life, are you pro-breastfeeding, are you pro-bottle feeding? And so they have to debate why one might be better than the other. And again, it's something that really makes them think. And then one of the other ones that I enjoy doing is with working with the FFA students. The national FFA standards fall almost in line with a lot of our government standards because it is very patriotic and government based. And so I spend a lot of time with them going over Robert's Rules of Order and parliamentary procedure, the importance of our flag, all of those things and how it relates to FFA. And so these are just some of the current and hopefully future projects that we have planned to do with our students. And of course, if you're interested in any of them for your personal students, you can always reach out and I'm happy to share. So a little more about the Health HPAC Club. So the Health Professions Affinity Community is a statewide organization, and they came to us a couple years ago and asked if we would be interested in implementing our own club. So it's 100% authentic. It provides a hands-on learning experience. It's community-minded because they have to help out somebody in their community. It provides for leadership opportunities. It is student-led, and we have community partnerships. So I have a group of about 12 students every year, juniors and seniors, who apply to be in the club, and their job is to come up with a community service project. And currently, they have continued our community service project for the last 2 years of providing hygiene items to our students who need them. And so we have collected donations from the community. We've developed a partnership with our public library, who ran a drive for us. And we have corporate sponsors that send us items to make sure that we can provide these necessary needs for students in our building. So this is something that I've taken on as the advisor, and it's really all student led. I pretty much let them contact everyone, do the pickups, fill the stations where we have the hygiene items, and make sure that students have what they need to be successful and continue to come to school. So these are just some pictures of when we started. I really should update it with where we're at now, because this little cabinet, these little cabinets that are filled, I actually now have a very large cabinet full of items. And these are some of my students who joined us the first year. We keep the hygiene items in lockers in the school, one for males and one for females. And they can go into any of the public restrooms in the building and pull a tab off here with the locker combination to go get what they need. So they don't have to ask an adult. There's no knocking on my door. There's no special pass. It's just get what you need. And then we track it by how many items have been taken out each week. This is pictures of our living will simulation that we did with our students. As you can see down here, these are our terminal illnesses that we gave our students. And then these are the students working together with each other, going through the Ohio will and DNR request and asking for the pertinent information. And so it was a really eye-opening experience for a lot of students who did not realize that as a nurse, this could be part of their job. And one of the things that came away from it was how many of them realized how important having a will or a potential DNR in place would be, and actually went home and had those conversations with their parents and their grandparents in case something was to happen. And so we watched them almost grow up within a matter of 30 minutes solely because this was something that they never had expected. So when we talk about pre-planning, some of the things the instructors and myself have done is we have gotten together in the summer. It is important to us to have a lot of this planned out before the school year gets started because we see each other for such a small amount of time. We do have a common planning period from 2:30 to 3 every day, so we utilize that to get together and hash out anything that needs to be fixed. We have a shareable Google Docs and slides so that we can edit them. So a lot of times when we put something together, we add multiple people so we can all look at it. We stay in constant contact. So whether that's email, whether that's phone calls, text messages, Google Hangouts, we make sure we're in constant contact throughout the entire process of the project. We have thoughtful discussions about what we want to do and how we see the project going. And a lot of times we see it going one way and our students take it a different way. And then we always keep track of what our lesson content is and have conversations about anything that needs to be changed. Should we add something? Should we take something away? And what that's going to look like. So pre-planning is huge if you really want to jump in and actually start working with other people in your building. So these are just some pictures of ways that we've planned and worked together. So here, this is a list of some of the plans that we made for the beginning of the school year. This is a picture of our research outline for a culture project we do where students have to research a specific culture and find out more about it and how you would address people that maybe come into your office or hospital because every culture is different and how they take you meeting and greeting them. Here's some more information that we wrote down about debates and leadership. This is a picture of a lesson plan that we put together for the Living Will. And this is just a snapshot of the presentation I give the students on what culture actually is and why it's important to understand that there are different cultures in this world and not everybody that comes into your doctor's office or hospital or wherever you're working necessarily agrees and feels the same way about things that you do. So even the small projects make big impact. So when you're starting out, you're going to want to keep your project or assignment fairly small. You don't want to jump in and do something huge because a lot of times it can go off rails. You may have to circle back around and get kids to come back where you want them to. And so it's important to kind of keep it small to start. Provide opportunities for multiple instructors to participate. I would ask anyone that you think might be interested Even if you think they might not be interested, ask them. You'd be surprised what they can offer. And for instructors that choose not to participate, you know, that's totally fine. You're not going to probably be able to work with everybody all the time on everything. But always ask people you think might be interested. You have to continually reinforce the learning objectives. So you always need to know, why are we doing this and how is this benefiting the students, and continue to relay that information. Post them on the board, share them daily, make sure the students understand why they're doing what they're doing. And it's still learning outside the box. So even the smallest little project or assignment that you give them to do that is different than the normal, mimicking what we're doing kind of thing, allows them an opportunity to learn outside of what the normal box that they're used to being. So positive reinforcement. So some of the things we do to recognize them and their accomplishments of doing some of these projects is we chart their goals. We reward activities. So a lot of times whoever scores the highest might get a prize. Whoever we can tell has put in a lot of research and detail is going to get something. And it may not even be anything significant. It could be something small, but we want to make sure that our students understand that their work is appreciated and that putting in the effort is appreciated, because out in the real world, when you do something good at work, a lot of times you're at least going to get a congratulations. And so we want to make sure our students are receiving that kind of feedback from us and rewards like they would in the real world. We offer real-time mistake correction. So we utilize Google everything. So our students share their stuff with us. So as they're doing something, we can go in and we can edit and we can ask questions and we can provide supports. And then multiple contacts for support. What's great about working with other people in your building is it allows students to have multiple people that they can contact in case they need help with something. This is huge. People do not understand that even though you are not necessarily always co-teaching together, but by working together and showing a united front to your student gives them multiple people they can talk to when they feel like there's a concern or a problem or an issue, or if they just want to bounce ideas off of. I might be better for bouncing ideas off of, but my partner might be really good at handling if there's, a group issue. And so once students realize that when you're working together, it makes it a lot easier, not only on the students, but on the instructors as well. So one of our favorite slogans or quotes that we like to use when talking about collaborative learning is, I hear and I forget, I see and I remember, I do and I understand, I reflect and I learn. The reflect and learn are two of the big ones for us because we want our students to stay in a constant reflection state. And so every day when we're working on something, it's okay, let's pause for the last 15 minutes. Let's think about what we did today. What can we do better tomorrow? Where are we stuck at? What do we need help at? What did we accomplish? So that they constantly know, like, okay, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. This is what I need help on. And so they can continue to move forward. So planning to be authentic deals with a lot of different parts. So you have your sensing, your watching, your thinking, and your doing. And I'm not going to go over this entire thing and spend a bunch of time on it. But as you can see, it allows for all kinds of learners to come together. So whether they're auditory, tactile, kinesthetic, visual, it allows them to come together and actually produce something that's going to be put out into the world that people are going to want to hear about and know about. And so by providing these authentic opportunities, you don't leave any learner out. You provide every learner an opportunity to do something related to the way that they like to learn. Because not everybody turns in the same kind of presentation. Sometimes they create something. Sometimes it's a Google slide. Sometimes it's an actual piece of work. Sometimes it's a model. Whatever it might be, it gives every type of learner an opportunity to succeed and be successful. So it really only takes one authentic lesson to help a student reimagine their education. And so we start small at the beginning of the year with short assignments that may require a little bit of research, and then I want you to tell me about it, or I want you to act it out, or I want you to create a video, whatever it might be. Those one small lessons that we do until we get to the big lesson really make that much of a difference. So if we were together in person, one of the activities I do with people who attend my sessions is I ask them to actually work together with people in the room and determine how you can be authentic with those people. So what I want you to do with yourself is I want you to choose a lesson that you are comfortable teaching. So think about your specialization or what maybe you're already teaching in your building. And what's that one lesson that you just get in front of the class and you just go with it and the students love it and you love it and everyone's having a great time. Once you figure out what that lesson is, then I want you to consider how your students will use this info in their future career life paths. So for me in American government, my absolute favorite thing to teach is the creation of the Constitution. And it's because I just love the founding fathers and what they did and how they did it and, where we started and where we ended. And I like to convey that to my students. So if I was doing this and I picked the creation of the Constitution, and I was thinking about how is this going to help them in their future career or life path, I'm sitting here thinking like, well, the Constitution set up our government, and then our government set up these different agencies, and one of those agencies has to do with Health and Human Services. And so I go through this whole list of how I can relate this to the students. So I want you to do the same thing. I want you to choose a lesson you're comfortable with, and I want you to think about how this is important to their future. Then you're going to create an authentic learning opportunity. So one of the first things I would suggest that you do is think about who you could definitely be working with on this project. So if you have a teacher in your building, and this is not even just for career tech, this is for anyone. If you have somebody in your building that would just blow this out of the water with you, it could be the math teacher, it could be one of your supervisors or administrators, or it could be your English teacher next door. Whoever it might be that you think has an opportunity to really help you shine and figure this out, I want you to write that person's name down and make a list of these people that you think you would want to work with. Then once you've done that, I want you to start thinking about what standards does this cover and what standards might it cover for somebody else. So if you are career tech, what standards could this cover or competencies could this cover with somebody in a career tech course? So you're going to start building upon those authentic learning opportunities. Then once you do that and you start thinking about all these things, you're going to start kind of piecing together how you want to teach this to your students and what kind of authentic learning opportunity are you going to provide them. Are you bringing in a speaker? Are you going to show a video? Are they going to create something? Whatever it is, you're going to want to make sure you jot down any of those options because like I've said before, sometimes your students will take things in a different direction than we originally planned. Once you have that all mapped out, then you're going to start pulling in those people you think could help and say, hey, I've come up with this lesson. I really think we could work really well together on it. This is what I'm thinking. And if they want to join in, then that's when you start doing the collaboration between the 2, 3, 4 of you, how many ever you would like to work with. And once you've built the lesson that you've built between your group, that's when you can start presenting it to your students. So content without purpose is only trivia. So if we don't explain to our students why this directly relates to what they're going to need to know after graduation and while they're out in the real world, then we're just presenting them trivia knowledge that they can use when they get a spot on Jeopardy. And that's not what we want. We want them to remember these things, these important things, as they progress through life. And that can be to the workforce or that could be to college, whatever it may be that they choose to do. So we have to make sure that we give their content a purpose. So that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions about anything, would like to see some lesson plans, some unit plans, collaboration worksheets, or I have a spreadsheet of how we brought our competencies and academic standards together that I'd be willing to share, please feel free to reach out. My email and my school phone number is listed below. And again, if you have any questions about anything, please let me know. I hope this is helpful to those of you that are looking to collaborate more with your peers and present some more authentic real-world experiences for your students. And I hope that the big thing you take away from this is making sure that whatever content you're giving to your students has more of a purpose than we're required to teach this because you have an end of course test, or we're required to teach this because the state of Ohio says so. We want you to have more authentic experiences of we want you to learn this because it's going to help you in this aspect of your life later. So thank you for watching.